Right, so we want to have a very candid conversation right now with Reverend Earle J. Fisher, and I'm sure many of you have seen him here on our station before. He is a champion for social justice and Memphis liberation here in the 901, and we want to bring him in now to talk about something that I know is near and dear to your heart, and this is unfortunately a time that we have you here, Pastor Earle, as we affectionately call you.
Yeah.
It's a sad day. Specifically for our country, or for our city, I should say, and unfortunately now Memphis in the national spotlight. I want you to speak from your heart, your thoughts initially about all of this.
Yeah, so that's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah.
But definitely thank you for having me in. You know, my heart goes out to the family. I had the distinct honor of meeting them Monday at the press conference. And as much as we could think about the developments and how they may land on us and how difficult it is to process it all and adequately respond to it all, I continue to think about them. I'm a pastor first, so I think about them and what they are dealing with.
Yes.
And I also can't help but think about how long it's been that we've been out advocating about the necessity of substantial structural and systemic changes relative to criminal justice reform, and how much we've been demonized by how much people have tried to diminish the claims that we have been making. And so now, yeah, we are here in the national spotlight, and our heart is again with the family. As much as this individual instance has nuance and particularity, it is still part and parcel of the broader structure of systemic and structural injustice in our criminal justice system. And so there are people who have been involved, people who have been in positions of leadership for a long time. And, you know, there's a lot of people who want to make tacit statements now and maybe even do some revisionist history of where people have been over the last several years. I just hope that we can not only honor the family and continue to fight for justice in this particular instance, but do what we can to minimize the likelihood of this ever happening again. We don't know for sure if this would have happened this way had all 5 officers been white. I don't think anybody can say that confidently, and I can say confidently I don't think this would have moved at the speed it has moved at if it had not been for the passion and the poise of protesters over the span of several years, people who have been doing work on the ground, making sure that these issues are front and center even when we've been pushed to the margins.
What are your thoughts about where we are in this process already, the swiftness of it?
Sister Kim and I were, talking about this before we got on in. I was thinking, like LeBron James said, it's about damn time that it has moved like this. But again, the particulars, the context matters. And so I'm not one to run a victory lap because of the situation and circumstance that we are at now. We finally have entered past step 1 in terms of prosecution. This is the first time, to my knowledge, in the last at least 10 years that any officer has ever been indicted. You know, we started advocating when Darius Stewart was killed, and the previous district attorney took 100+ days to even respond to the public, brought no charges. You know, there have been times where people have been tackled by police officers during protests with video. People have been hit by horses while protesting with video. You know, all manner of brutality is recognizable, and this is the first time we see these charges. And this is, again, in part because of how diligent and faithful folks have been in making sure that the issues are front and center, and then even the political organizing and activism to ensure that there is a different district attorney at the forefront of this case now.
Can I have a moment of brevity with you, because this has been so heavy for us all day?
Yeah.
I feel like we need a light moment. Did you just cuss, Pastor? Did we just hear you say that?
So clearly you don't know that I'm the pastor of the Blackest Church in Memphis and Shelby County.
I just needed that moment.
Damn, it might work.
I just needed that moment, because somebody's like, is he a pastor? And he just say about you know what time.
Certified, licensed, ordained, PhD, all of that. And sometimes that's the most appropriate word, because if you think about how much we've had to push to just get the baseline. This is not the ceiling of justice. This is the baseline. This is not the top floor. You know, we barely have gotten on the elevator, right? And now you have bail that has been set. You know, and you only have to pay 25% of what the bail price is. And, I'd be curious to see who has posted the money. But at the end of the day, had these been everyday citizens, nobody thinks that they would be walking around right now. Nobody thinks that they would see any daylight anytime soon. And so there are still particular nuances and intricate details insofar as the developments of this case that are connected to broader issues that we have to maintain and keep front and center, because at some point the cameras are going to go away, the smoke is going to clear, the national figures are going to go back to their hometowns, and we're going to have to figure out how to pick up the pieces. And so what I'm hopeful for is the continued creativity and courage and compassion and consciousness of everyday people like activists and organizers and community leaders and clergy are going to make sure we do what we have to do to stop repeating the cycle. And I hear the mayor and the police director and the district attorney all advocating for, you know, peaceful protests. Number one, check every protest in recent memory. It has been the people who have been most poised and most passionate and peaceful. It has been the police department that has been known to escalate issues. So they need to check their own people, as was the case here. And so I would hope that, you know, we would spend more of our time trying to make sure we are holding accountable the people who have, in many instances, manufactured these circumstances. We're talking about the same mayor and police director that instituted the Scorpion unit back in the fall of 2021, and it didn't even take a year and a half before there's at least one dead body. We don't even know how many more might be out there. And so I would hope that the Department of Justice would be willing to come in and do the proper investigations of the Memphis Police Department and Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I know y'all have talked to people who are aspiring for office after Mayor Strickland is out. They need to be on public record talking about what they would do if it was them, and the community needs to be paying close attention to how we move forward in all of this.
All right, Reverend Pastor Earle, just as we get ready to wrap here, I was reading in your bio, what touches most and what you can identify with me, Joe, and Kim, you're a father, so you understand full throttle what this means, and like you said, hearts going out to the Nichols family, because on Wednesday, February 1st, when the cameras are off, they will have to bury their son. Yeah,
you know, I'm probably going to end up being part of the funeral in one way or the other. And I know that they've already had memorial services. And when you walk with families through grief, you know, my father-in-law recently passed. My wife just lost her father in December. And those types of moments don't leave you instantaneously, you know, even after you leave the burial grounds. And so it's always good to have support systems. I hope that my fellow clergy, community members, leaders, and even some of these political figures who are talking, you know, fly stuff now, I hope that they can show and prove how committed they are to not just justice for Tyre Nichols, that is valuable and vitally important, but also, you know, supporting the family going forward and lifting up the names of other people who have been in similar situations and circumstances. They still bear the burden of the trauma right now, but by the grace of God, they did not die when they were brutalized. So we'll see what happens in the next few days.
All right, Pastor Earle Fisher, thank you so much for joining us now. We appreciate your time. Joe, we'll send it back over to you.